Well, this absolutely is the type of episode that I thought I was going to be doing today because I had a lot of belief that the Philadelphia Flyers were going to be able to be at least a wild card team for this coming playoffs, and they completely collided and fell. There is a lot of disappointment, obviously, when it comes to, them now being on an 8-game winless streak. After their fall to the Montreal Canadiens tonight, who probably are one of the worst teams in the NHL, they lost 9-3. Not a good loss. And there is a lot that contributes to these losses. There's a lot that you might look at and say, okay, well, this makes sense why they lost. Now, the question is, what will be done about this next season? And how will they bounce back? Now, personally, next season, I don't necessarily think that this team is going to look the same at all. I don't. I think a lot of changes are going to happen in the offseason. I think that, you have a new leadership, right, with Danny Briere and Keith Jones. And I would like to believe that they have a sense of being okay with letting some players go that have always been on the Philadelphia Flyers. For instance, I was a big proponent in trading Scott Lawton at the trade deadline for a higher draft pick. Did that happen? No, it did not. Did I want it to happen? Absolutely. I just thought to myself that it would be an ideal situation, honestly, for Philadelphia to just focus on getting some really good talent for the upcoming draft. But again, things are out of my control, and I'm not the one at the end of the day that's in that executive position to do so. So I think that you're not going to be seeing guys on the Philadelphia Flyers like a Scott Lawton next season. I think they're going to try to maybe trade him in the offseason. Trade players that are a little bit older that have talent that you can get a lot in return from. I'm not saying that you have to trade all the older guys in any way, but it wouldn't surprise me even if Konechny was involved with something in a trade. Again, I think I'm speaking a little too hypothetically down the line, but I did want Philadelphia Flyers fans to be able to ask me questions and to be able to, join the conversation and let me know how you think, how you're feeling, because this is a very frustrating situation to be in as a fan. So I'm going to read some questions. Again, if you have any questions here on YouTube, leave them. Let me know what I can answer because I want to be as candid as possible. The end of the season absolutely sucks. And they're going to be doing their annual 10-game winless streak. So let's face it, it's about to happen. And it just had to be when it was the most important time of the season. So on Twitter, Flyers, Jambroni says, based on this epic collapse, were you trading in the offseason? Well, it's funny that you asked that since I kind of already insinuated that. Again, a Scott Lawton, a Konechny. I don't think they're going to trade Travis Sanheim just because of that extension, that deal that he has. I would try to trade as many guys that could give you some high value back. And I think there's only so long that you can say they're in a rebuild for rather than it just being accepting the facts that you're not a good hockey team. So I would just try to make those trades this summer and not wait any longer to do so. Aaron, big hockey fan Aaron is, he says, how does Rocky, and he's referring to Rocky Thompson, still have a job? Gritty could do a better job coaching the power play, and he doesn't even talk. The Flyers' power play has been awful. It's one of the worst power plays in the NHL this season, and it has not improved in any way. I remember asking Cam Atkinson during the beginning of the season, I would like to say beginning, middle-ish part of the season, hey, this power play is not good. Has Rocky done anything differently to, change it up, make it a little bit better? And Cam even said it's not a good power play, and he doesn't really see much of it being done then, and it shows. So we have another one. It is Faye Tailgate something. They 100% gave up on the coach. My question is, who is out there that could be the right fix to help our team out? Now, this question cracks me up in a couple ways. I don't see John Tortorella not being the Flyers head coach next season. I could be wrong. I just don't think that that's going to happen. I think he's going to at least be the head coach for one more season. Who do I think could be the right fit? I mean, there's a lot of coaches in the NHL right now that have teams in the playoffs that are, fighting for a spot. So I don't want to necessarily say somebody's name yet. I just think that Tortorella is going to stay just a little bit longer, and then maybe after that next year, he'll be gone. I'm just gonna post out talking Flyers hockey live, if I can actually spell that, live on YouTube. Join the conversation. So put that out there. Gonna hopefully some of you join from the YouTube so you can ask me my questions there. This is my hockey podcast. I was on Spotify, Apple Music. Now I just do YouTube because honestly, I like doing the whole video aspect of it. So we do a lot of fun things here in Haley's Hot Take, and always talking hockey, always talking all NHL teams, but mostly Flyers hockey. So we have that going on for us. I'm going to get back to your questions. There is a lot of questions, a lot that's going on from you all on social media, and it's a little overwhelming, to be honest. So I'm going to get back to your questions again. Somebody says, where can I get my whiskey? That's not going to help the situation. Chris says, I have a lot of questions. Number one, how dare they? Yeah, I mean, I guess that's valid. So Joe says, so obviously Keith and Danny are safe, I'd imagine, but could he bring a coach back, like him or not, who was at the helm of what's looking like a 0-9-2 run to end the season? Or watch will win one game to end the season, 1-8-2. Flyers were at 75 points 15 games ago, 8 points since. And listen, Joe, I'm not saying that what's happening is acceptable. It's not acceptable, Joe. But I don't think that John Tortorella is going to be going away. You make a very valid point that at the end of the season, yeah, it sucks. 100% I can agree with you on that. But do I necessarily think that this is all on Tortorella? And I'm not defending John Tortorella in whatever means you want to put it. But at the end of the day, this comes down to the players. This comes down to their lack of urgency and lack of fight that they have. You can be mad at your coach all you want. Oh, he's benching our captain. All these factors. And I understand the frustration, but these are professional athletes who get paid to play the game of hockey, who look like they gave up during the most crucial time of the season. You're telling me that I'm not allowed to be upset about this? I'm going to be upset about that, but without in a way of blaming it 100% on Tortorella, because this is on the players, and I said what I said on that one. So Philly Own says, Phillies, Flyers, and 76ers get more leeway than the Eagles. Eagles can't even breathe wrong without everyone getting upset. Keep the same energy for the others. I don't know what you mean on that one, just because, So I said the Flyers should have traded Scott Laughton at the deadline for a high draft pick. And somebody said, easy to say that now. If they had you and everyone else would have blamed the trade. That's not what I ever said. I said all along, I said all along that they should trade Scott Laughton. Oh my gosh, I'm telling you, no matter what you say on hockey Twitter, it always comes back to get you. No matter, I said the whole time they should trade Laughton. I have to tell you, no matter what I say, people come at me. We have a YouTube comment. This is from Mark. What's up, Mark? He says, being tired. Can I show this on the YouTube? I can't show this on the video. But Mark says, being tired is no excuse. Players have to work their way through it. Exactly. And that's what makes a playoff team versus a non-playoff team. Playoff teams fight. They get those points. There's a reason why the Dallas Stars have 107 points this season, a team that I said at the beginning of the season was going to win the cup. It's because of the fight. They know that every point matters. It does not matter if you're playing against one of the worst teams in the league or one of the best teams in the league. You need to bring your A effort. On the ice tonight, I have to tell you, Travis Konechny just didn't look good at all. Lawton didn't look good. None of these guys look good. And I get it. They're tired. You know, they're so tired. That's all I'm hearing. I'm tired. I wake up at work. I wake up at work. I wake up for work at 4 a.m. every day. I'm still doing my job. I'm still, doing what I need to do. It's because in life, you have to push through being tired. These are professional athletes. And if you think, oh, well, they just gave up because they're mad at Tortorella, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard somebody say. And people have been saying that, well, they gave up because of Tortorella. Who? Who would ever think that's a player's mentality? Oh, I'm mad at John Tortorella, so I'm not going to play good hockey. That is the dumbest thing, and I hate to be that way. But that's not how professional athletes work. And I know this team. I've been around this team, and I know for a fact that none of these guys would just not play well because they're upset with Tortorella. If anything, they probably would want to play harder just to prove to him, hey, benching our captain wasn't a good idea. But again, this is what everyone does right now. Everyone's just attacking each other and they're angry at each other. And it's just one of those things. So the Philadelphia Flyers just put out Travis Sanheim after the game. So let's take a listen to what he had to say.
This kind of wave went through. What do you think changed at that point of the game?
We just couldn't play in our D zone, and they capitalized on a lot of their chances, and we just weren't good enough.
Okay, so I don't need to listen to him anymore. We just weren't good enough. We didn't capitalize. You can hear the defeat in Sanheim's voice. You can hear the whole pity party. What is the Flyers season? This is so sad. You can hear that sense of defeat. The fans of the Philadelphia Flyers should be the only ones that can sound defeated right now, because the Flyers put out a product on the ice that allowed the fans to believe in them, allowed the fans to think, hey, this could be a playoff contending team. This could be a team that has playoff hockey back in South Philadelphia. The players shouldn't be the ones sounding all defeated. They control what happens on the ice. You're playing some of the worst teams in the National Hockey League at this point in the season. You had an embarrassing loss to the Columbus Blue Jackets, an embarrassing loss to the Montreal Canadiens tonight, and the Flyers are going to be the ones that sound all defeated? No, that is a loser mentality. There is still a chance, well, maybe not as much now, but there was still a chance for them to make it to the playoffs. It was within their control. And you know what I'm hearing from the Flyers? We got outplayed. We weren't good enough. No, you weren't good enough. But aren't you fired up? Don't you want to make it to the playoffs? And I don't want to hear those excuses. Oh, they're just tired. They're burnt out. No, this is the point of the season where even if you're tired, you get that extra fuel of energy, an extra surge of energy because of the Stanley Cup playoffs. It is an honor and a privilege to be in the playoffs. Let me say that again. It is an honor and it's a privilege to be in the Stanley Cup playoffs. It is not something that you just get to go right into. You have to fight for it. The playoffs are so special, especially in hockey. There's nothing like playoff hockey. You think about all the players on the Flyers that have yet to experience playoff hockey in Philadelphia. It is one of the most magical experiences that you can have. Whether you're a fan, a player, a coach, it is something out of this world. And this season, the fans truly were in a position of, hey, let's maybe buy some playoff tickets just in case. Well, you're going to get that refund because that's not going to happen. I jokingly said, what if the Flyers end up losing out, right? Because I had that thought in my head that it could be a possibility. And it's looking more and more like that. There was no way they could lose to the Canadians tonight. Well, they did, 9-3. There's no way they're going to lose to the Rangers on Friday. Actually, no, it's definitely possible. But you get what I'm saying? It just seems to me that this hockey team gave up. And when are we going to stop calling this a rebuild and just call this a reality? How much longer do we have to tell ourselves, oh, they're in a rebuild. It's going to be okay. Why can't the reality just be this team, while they are technically rebuilding, they just suck. And they don't have the fight. And they don't have the fight. And that's what it is, folks. It's not, they're not good enough. They are good enough. When they play 100% effort, they're good enough. It's their lack of fighting. The Stadium Series game, I think about that a lot. I was there, actually. I saw mediocrity on the ice. The Devils looked like a Stanley Cup championship team compared to the Flyers in that game. And, I was with my dad at that game. I went as a fan. Usually I'm in the press box, but I went as a fan. And I said to my dad, this team does not look good. And he said, they don't. And ever since that Stadium Series game, they only gained, I believe, was it 15 points? They've barely gained any points. They've been at this kind of standstill in points. If they were in the West, they would be eliminated by now. I'm going to be honest with you. The Western Conference, really good hockey. Obviously, there's good hockey in the East, but the West is insane. It's loaded. And the teams that would get a playoff spot for our wildcard spots in the East would technically be eliminated if they were out in the West too. So really good hockey out there. So Mark also says, how much longer will Flyers fans put up with the rebuilding process? And I think that you have to trust this offseason. You have to trust that Danny Briere and Keith Jones are going to do something this offseason that's going to help further this team in a better direction. They have the draft coming up. Okay. They have free agency. There is a lot that can be done. I just think that there was more that could have been done during the season if you wanted to just truly rebuild. And I'm not trying to knock on Danny Briere and Keith Jones because I do understand they have a job to do. And I'm not, putting that down in any way and saying, it's easy what they do. It's not easy. But at the end of the day, at the trade deadline, I understand Sean Walker was great defensively for Philadelphia. And I can acknowledge that. And I do acknowledge, he was a great defenseman for Philadelphia. But there was more the Flyers could have done at that trade deadline. And the whole entire time I said, Scott Laughton, trade him, get some high draft picks for Laughton, possibly connect me. And people were kind of upset with me. Hale, I don't think you should be trading those players, How about the playoffs? And I said, well, they're in a rebuild. So if you're in a rebuild, why, one, are you so concerned about the playoffs? Shouldn't you be concerned about the future of this team? I would rather the Philadelphia Flyers be a dynasty type of team for seasons on end rather than doing everything you can to make it to the playoffs for one season just to lose in the first round. But again, no matter what was said to me, Hale, this team, they have potential, you have to believe. And I do believe. I believe that this team gave up. And I don't think this team gave up on John Tortorella, how other people were saying it. I think this team just gave up on themselves. I don't think that an 8-game winless streak shows me this is a good hockey team. I can't believe it, actually. I'm laughing, but I'm an 8-game winless streak for your Philadelphia Flyers. And you're going to tell me that they were doing this because of Tortorella. That's not true. 8 games. That's 16 points, by the way. That they've only had like 2 out of 16 points or something. It's bad. And the problem with the draft is, you might be wondering, well, hell, at least they're going to get a high draft pick. Probably not. They might get like the 11th overall draft pick, because there's teams worse than Philadelphia, believe it or not. It just honestly shows me that this team that we all believed in, because we did all believe in them, just didn't have the will to fight to the end. And maybe next season they will. Obviously, it's going to look like a whole new team next season, I think. Rocky Thompson needs to go. He's done. Awful power play coach. Disgusting. I think Atkinson might retire. I don't know anything for sure. Just something that I would assume. We're probably not going to have Mark Stahl or Eric Johnson. I really hope Mark Stahl's gone. Defensive-wise, I mean, we gave Sealer an extension. Drysdale's going to stay. York's going to stay. Sanheim, what it is. Yeah, just get rid of everybody, honestly. This whole thing sucks. And I put out something, I'm like, with the Dreamy Drysdale deal, did we get what we needed to get? And everyone was like, Jamie Drysdale is amazing. Okay, but we could have had Cutter. And it's not a knock on Drysdale, but
until the
here's Tortorella.
Comes through there. It seems like the guys were certainly not happy with their overall defensive play. Is that kind of where it was for you too?
I thought we, after giving up an early one in the first, I thought we settled the game down, found a way to get playing. Can't score at a key time to try to even it up. Then the wheels come off. After they score their second, the wheels come off.
What do you think kind of led to that happening? Is defensive zone breakdowns?
There are so many different things that happen in the game. Yeah.
I guess it's just the nature of hockey. The bounces sometimes go your way, and it seems like everything isn't going this team's way right now, and they're just trying to fight through it as best they can.
Yeah, I know you can say that, but we made a lot of mistakes. Turnovers, coverages, any part of the game, there were mistakes, and really, for the most part, it's uncharacteristic of the club. And even though when we've been going through the losing here, the last couple of games, Columbus and here, we've done some things that we haven't done for a lot of the year, and so you got to eat us, and we got to stay together and try to solve things. Whether it's enough time to do what we want to do.
I'm done hearing this. Yeah, he gave up on the season. Well, 3 games left to go. It's unbelievable. This hockey team. Whatever, right? They gave up. Time to look ahead. Oh, man. This was not a fun emergency episode. I wanted to do a playoff episode. All excited. Well, this isn't it. All right. Well, I'll talk to you next week on Haley's Hot Take. Until then, let's do that hockey.